Hello everyone, Kairofu here with the next installation of my tier video as we go over the Agile faction, which in my opinion is probably the best faction in the game right now with the installation of the Rabbit Hero. And I'll explain that a little bit as well as to why that is. I believe currently running the Agile faction with two possible other factions is probably the best combination to go for your stat boost in your faction units. So, without further ado, let's jump into Baboon. So first of all, I will start with what I think is the top tier, and I will work my way down from there. And so automatically it's set on Knight, which I already have currently set, which is easily probably one of the best hero classes in the game, is the Baboon Knight. And I will go ahead and say that straight out. He has, from the very beginning when I drew him, been absolutely incredible, has continued to exceed my expectations as a frontline tank, assist, and damage dealer. He does it all, just completely all around great hero, and we can look at that here real quick. So let's start with his talent, which makes him easily a solid tank option. So after death, he immediately stores 100% of max HP, so he basically has 2 lives. And so this increases his own damage reduction too by 30% for 3 rounds when it's triggered, which makes him even more viable tank option. And it silences an enemy target, or silences all enemy targets for 1 round after coming back. So that's crowd control, that is damage reduction, and it's an automatic revive just in the talent alone. And then for his actives, we're looking at 500% attack damage to a target and providing a shield to parry damage equal to 250% of attack. And you're immune to control when the shield is active. So first of all, I believe shields can be even more important than healing when it comes to supports in Idle War. Like, let's be honest here. When it comes to the King Army, it is imperative to build those shields because a lot of them do come with that damage immune and they build off each other, and that keeps your heroes from doing damage at all. As we'll see later, there are some that even keep you from taking rage reduction, which is crucial to not have the energy reduction in your hero. And it's just, shields are, in short, without me rambling along, they are incredible. You'll want to keep those shields constant. Anyone that you can get that is a strong hero and has shields, stack them on. It will keep you alive and keep you in battle longer than your opponent, which is crucial in winning battles. So that's great. And not to mention, so we have that attack damage, and based off his attack, we get increased attack by his regular stats just by leveling him up. So in total, we can have attack increase of 60% on top of what is already here that is stacked onto that shield and that is stacked onto his regular attack. Boom, support and damage increase automatically. Plus, I just mentioned that shield is better than heals. We also get a heal in this as well. Here's hero in the same row, recovering HP equal to 80% of attack, which also, once again, increases. So we increase energy of your heroes in the same row by 25%. Energy is probably one of the most important things, which is why I also said earlier, the energy reduction denial of the shield often is an incredible thing because your energy is what allows you to use these special active attacks. And those are what's going to do the most damage, do the most heals and support for your team. So the ability to build and the ability to contain that energy for the round is important. So you'll want to stack those. So just as a passive too, he's already way overpowered. You have the increased hit of all your heroes by 50% when present. Increased crit damage of all your heroes by 50%, increased speed, and increased damage. So you're buffing everyone as a passive buff as well. So you have the damage, you have the support ability, and you have the tank ability of the front row. He is constantly in my front line tanking everything. And it's just his natural ability to just be such a strong all-around hero. Still probably one of the best in the game, keeping up with the mighty faction heroes, in my opinion. I put him in a tier 1. If there's a higher tier, let's go tier 0. Because since the beginning, he's been strong. And I'm glad to see that he hasn't, the new heroes coming in haven't terribly surpassed his power. Honorable mentions are the Ranger, who can do decent damage, and I believe he also stacks on, some buffs for himself as well, so he does some good damage on top of those. And you got that increase all targets, so it does good damage. I don't believe late game it's as viable as it is early game. He also does pretty good in the Secret Realm. Early to mid game, I believe later you might as well move to Elephant Knight. That's another story. Another honorable mention is the Warrior. As I mentioned before, he naturally builds as a tankable ability, plus with the attack all 300% attack to all front row, he does decent damage. Provides himself with a shield, which is nice. And recovers HP. So good sustain, good tank ability, and decent front row damage. So definitely another viable option. Not quite as strong as the Knight, but still a good option to throw in as a tankable class hero. Lastly, you have your Mage and your Assassin. I've tried them both when messing around early mid-game. They're not even that viable. Then your Assassin is slightly viable for single target damage, but honestly, it's not worth it. Pretend Assassin and Mage don't exist. If you can, go for these three. I believe just because of his tankable talent ability to revive, put him as a tank and go Knight and Warrior. You're gonna get decent damage and you're gonna get the tank ability. And if you use the Knight, you're also gonna get that assist, which is strong, which in my opinion makes him one of the best heroes in the game. And now I'm gonna go straight over to one of the newer heroes, the Rabbit, who once again is a strong hero, as we expect from any of the newer heroes coming out. They like to slightly top the heroes that came before, so you always kind of get stronger heroes as the game goes on. I've seen this in a lot of games like this, and it's not particularly a bad thing, because it helps you try to build for more things, but luckily I have seen, like with the Baboon Warrior, it's been around for a while, that it hasn't completely overclassed it, which is great. They do well on balancing heroes. Well, that aside, let's move to looking at this. In my opinion, as you see, it's already set as my active class. The Knight is your best option. If we give that a quick look, we can kind of see why. We have 450% attack damage to a target, increase attack of all your heroes by 20%. That buff in and of itself is going to be nice. You cover HP of all your heroes, equal to 10% of their max HP, and as a shield to all your heroes that compares damage equal to 100% of attack. So naturally, we can just see how this stacks with the Baboon Knight that we have earlier. Like together, they are just a good combination. You have the decent attack damage, you have the attack boost, you have the heal now to all of your heroes for 10% of their max HP. So it stacks off of their HP, which is nice. It adds a shield to all your heroes as well, which can parry damage equal to 100% of attack, which is so nice. You stack that with Baboon, it's a great thing. And not to mention, let's look at the talent real quick. So, before each round starts, all heroes on your side get a shield that can parry damage equal to 60% of Bunny's attack. And that is immune to control when the shield is active. So this is casting another shield outside of the active. So that's double shields, which is great. You're immune to energy reduction, and the shields cannot be dispelled.
Please pardon me for coming late, my lord.
And that, like I said, shield is important. You got double shield. Bunny Knight just dominates in that department. We have more increases to attack, not quite as drastic as we had on the Baboon, but still that increase in attack is going to increase that shield, and it's going to increase his output of damage. So before the round starts, your hero with the lowest HP recovers HP to 100%. Naturally, once again, we have more heals. Self-healing can't be reduced, and increases energy of the hero with the highest attack on your team by 50. Again, energy is so important, and getting that damage output going and having it automatically stacked on your highest attack hero is just going to do so much damage so fast. I can't just say how great he is. Going forward, easily, I'd say if there's more than a tier 1, easily a top tier 2 or tier 0 hero to tier 1 solid, all around great hero, stacks great with Baboon. So when you're getting those faction bonuses going forward for your team, just great to stack them two together. And also, what I'm going to say real quick, it's smart. Go in, and when you get the chance and you get here, always try and build these shield cast plus 10% on your shield casters. As expected, it is just going to be great. It's just 10% is going to make a huge difference too. You may not immediately notice it, but that is going to give your hero so much more sustain. And it's honestly a much better option than just going plus 5% HP or trying to do healing. Like I said, shields, in my opinion, are more important because unlike healing, which just restores HP, shields help prevent you from losing damage, and they prevent you from losing things such as energy and control effects. So they do so much more. Keeping the shields on is important, which makes them such great opportunists. Good honorable mentions. Honestly, I think all of these are great honorable mentions. Your warrior is a good option. I have not had to use them as much, but I have given him a try, and I have seen, while it's not as impressive as the knight class, it is still a solid tankable class. Just with the shield still present in the talent, and his ability to tank stun and recover HP is nice, and to produce a shield on himself, it's great tank ability. Definitely good to look into. Mage is also a great option. His passes are pretty good. They reduce a lot of the target's abilities, dispel all buffs. And so very situational, probably a good option to use if you're finding a lot of targets are buffing. Good to decrease the target's buffs. But in my opinion, not anything that's terribly overpowered on its own. Assassin is also a good option. Good single target damage. Also does bleed to the target. Increases automatically against bleed targets, so it does good with other bleed heroes, but like I said, not great enough. I'd put probably the mage as a tier 2 ability, warrior tier 2. I probably assassin for regular PvE, PvP tier 3. It does decent damage against bosses, probably tier 2. Probably still doesn't stick up there with the sheep, like I said in my last video, but it's pretty decent. Your ranger, good damage. all around. Mass Effect, as we expect from a Ranger, not as strong as some of the others as a viable option, but still pretty strong. I think the Knight class naturally outclasses it. I put this as a 2. If you want good all-around damage and you're just looking to nuke enemies, he is a good option. Let's quickly move here. I'm going to make this quick. In my opinion, Antelope Mage is quite an easy one to go through. Mage is probably the only class you really want to focus on. That is because of this passive ability to trigger revival on death, which makes him a good sustain hero. He will stay alive for a while, not to mention his abilities to silence a hero and swap positions. This is good for mixing up your team's composition and knocking some enemies out while their tank may normally take a lot of damage. You swap them out and now another hero is in that tank spot, and that is nice to kind of do damage to a hero outside of their tank as well. Plus those silences are also really nice, especially if you're like me and you stack Baboon in the front and you have that Baboon constantly casting shields and doing a lot of damage. Having the ability to silence that is kind of nice. Well, I used to have him as the main composition on my team. I swapped him out for Rabbit for obvious reasons. Rabbit has surpassed the Mage, but this is still a very viable option. Mid-late game, easy tier 1 put. I would not question it at all. Solid all around, like I said, with the revive, plus the silences and the team swap skill. Just a very good hero in general. From here is kind of a downhill. Knight is probably good tier 2, decent assist, abilities, but nothing that really sticks out. Nothing I've ever seen or used that really, in my opinion, is in front of my mind like, wow, that's really great. It's kind of just a decent hero. If you don't have the ability to have the Mage yet, this is a good option to go for. I will just say it right now, Ranger, Assassin, Warrior, not viable options, tier 3, tier 4 even. Not that great, not worth putting into. Lastly, the Wolf. I will be honest, I have not really used the Wolf at all. What I'm going to be saying is going to be based on other people's experiences and what I hear, what people have said in Ranked, and what I've seen battling against them. And first off, probably the biggest reason is the one I hear is the best and better option for the Wolf that is possibly a tier 1, high tier 2 rank is the Ranger, which I have never gotten to this day. I've gotten almost everything of all the other heroes that have been out for a while, and Ranger has just been one I have not been able to get yet, and it's a frustrating one because I wanted to try it out because I hear it's been good, but I just haven't. So unfortunately, while I can try and analyze and say it looks like he does good silence to mages, which is nice, increased damage reduction of 20%, reduce armor, passives, increases own attack, increases crit. Looks like he's good solid damage to himself. I prefer heroes that do damage buffs to the team. With that being what it is, it's a good counter ability as a talent. Increasing armor and attack is also nice as a talent. But my opinion, I don't know if I particularly rank him as a tier 1 hero. With some of the others, honestly, I believe some of the others I've ranked tier 1 do outclass him. Even my teams, when we're almost matched up and the only thing they change is something like Wolf to my Rabbit or Wolf to my Baboon that's placed in instead, I still win pretty easily, even if it's close levels. I do not see him as a particularly big threat. I do see people doing a lot of damage with him often in team comps, but honestly there are better ones that do support and damage abilities instead of just damage that I believe are better options instead. But still, I maybe go high tier 2 in my opinion. And like I said, for the rest, no one really uses. I hear the mage is decent. The warrior's decent just for being able to counter. But that's pretty much it for that regard. And then, in my opinion, the assassin and the knight are not really worth it at all. And that's just base level my assumption. And from what I've seen, like I said, I haven't really used them, haven't had the ability to, but I've seen no one use knight and assassin as basic units. I've only really seen ranger as viable options, and then other people briefly talk about mage and warrior as viable options. Warrior for the obvious reason of talent. So that's my opinion, and that's kind of my look at the Agile class as it is now. Probably the strongest due to the fact that I believe some of the top two that stack together so well is Baboon and Rabbit. And just when you're building that faction bonus, those two working together so well is just a monumental kind of increase in damage and assists, abilities, and support, and just all around just great abilities between the two. And if you even wanted a third, the Antelope has the mage class is definitely a high viable option, to my opinion. The only one, but still a tier 1 hero nonetheless, and very good to have in your lineup. And right now I think those three together are really good. And like I said, arguably the Wolf Ranger, which I said I haven't got to see myself. I have played against though, and I have not seen anything that sticks out enough to me to just scream, wow, this is really great. It's kind of just alright. Argue with me as people might, that's just my opinion. There are things that just trump him that make me not even want to put him up with some of the heroes like the Baboon and the Rabbit that do such great assists, damage, and tankable at the same time. And I think for now that'll do it for this Agile tier ranking video. If you have any questions, please let me know. If you have anything you wish to debate with me, I'm always open for discussion. I like to see what other people's opinions are and how things have worked for you, how you believe certain things have countered other abilities. Like I recently were talking to people about how we believe Rabbit is now countering some of the elephant's natural abilities, and how having a Rabbit in your team can really help you take out people that are having those massive powered elephants in their team. And things like that, which are also pretty important to talk about and go over, because there's a lot of heroes that naturally counter some others, so that's always fun to discuss and look over. But anyways, that might be a topic for another video. But for now, thank you so much for joining me for this video on Agile Heroes. I think next we will be going over Fierce, which I believe is probably right now the third best viable option, and with the installation of the Lizard, which unfortunately I haven't had a lot to look into, it has made the Fierce faction a very viable faction to now go for. The Lizard being a very powerful hero. But until then, we will wait for that video till the next time, and I will catch you all later. Goodbye.